What's up guys, it is DMG here, and today I'm just going to be basically talking about the PES 17 demo, honestly, just because it looks like it'd be a very good game. It can be a very good game. Now, there is a lot of time in the time frame between the demo and the actual release of PES, so I'm not going to be like saying PES is better or worse than FIFA because a lot of things can happen in that time frame. So I'm just going to be commentating on basically the PES 17 demo compared to just previous games, pretty much. So PES 17 demo, for just like the team instructions, again, they've been really good at it because it's more like realistic, it's more lifelike pretty much because you get to choose how your team is set up. There's a lot of customization that goes in, that's involved in this, and the more customization there is in that, the better you can play, because that means that you know exactly where your players are going to be, you can decide where they're going to be and just adapt to that, and then you can just become better at it. So of course that's going to make you better at PES, obviously. And they've kind of gone more in depth with that as well. One of the things that they were talking about, or that they added, is advanced instructions, I believe. It was advanced instructions, so you can basically tell your team to play as a whole for attacking or defensively like a certain way. Basically, one of the ways for attacking, for example, was you could tell your team to hug the sideline. So after the game, it actually tells you where the bulk of your possession was. If it was on like the sideline, the left, right, or middle, it tells you where it was. So if you use like 45% of the possession on the left, 45% of the possession on the right, and only 10% down the middle, you are obviously using the wings way more than the middle. So you would most likely want to hug the sideline. So you can do that in your team customization, which means there's going to be more people on the sideline, you can become better at it, and you would just become a better player just in general. So that's really good that they're adding that, just because it's more in depth, more customization, which means you can become better at it as well. Then moving on to the presentation parts, it's for the most part a lot of it's just like pre-game and in the replays, and it's really well done. It really is. I don't really know if you guys notice it, but like the faces are really good. And something that I actually noticed was any body part that's in motion for like a certain player, like when they're running, obviously their legs are going to be in motion, and then their arms are going to be in motion when they're like swinging their arms and things like that. Those things kind of get blurry a little bit, which makes sense because not all cameras are going to capture perfect non-blurry like motion running areas of the body. That's not going to really happen, especially if just for action replays in real life. So that makes it really realistic, actually. Like for example, when the referees and the players are walking out, you can kind of see it's a little bit blurry when when you slow it down. It gets a little bit blurry for the legs. And that makes it realistic. It's not going to be captured fully and like crystal clear non-blurriness in real life, and they've done that. They've added that in PES. Like they've added those small details, which is really nice. They've added small details in pretty much everything, like team customization, pretty much, and this presentation part, and just in the gameplay in general, which is really well done from them. When you're watching the replays especially, it looks really good because again, the blurriness, there's certain blurriness to like the parts that are actually moving, things like that. It makes it really well done. But also just the players in general, they just look good. They just look good, honestly. Like the one thing I don't really like about it is the fans. The fans don't look that realistic. The fans are a lot more realistic in FIFA. They are like 3D. I mean, they're 3D in this, but like it just doesn't really look like it, honestly, compared to FIFA. But it's just overall just a very well put, for presentation wise at least, a really well done game, even in the demo. And again, it could change, honestly, but the things that will most likely be changing are going to be the gameplay. Not necessarily anything with the team customization or anything with like the presentation, but just the actual gameplay. So the fact that it's already really good means they can't really ruin it, which is really nice. But now onto the gameplay parts, and obviously the gameplay has to be good because even if you have all of these amazing features and all of these amazing presentations, if the gameplay is bad, you're not going to play it. Simple as that. And the gameplay is really nice because honestly, the last few PES gameplays have actually not been horrible. Like PES 14, they had like this core thing that they kind of had, and it wasn't horrible. They just had like this core thing, but it was still like rough around the edges. Next year, they kind of shaved some of the parts off, made it a little bit better. Next year, did the same thing, made it a little bit better, and then again, that's what they did for this year. They just made it a little bit better because they didn't have to overwrite anything. They had their core things. They didn't have to like overhaul anything or change anything drastically. They didn't have to do anything like that. So what they did differently compared to this year, at least like what was shown in the demo, to PES 16. For example, slide tackles. Slide tackles are a lot less OP. You probably will see me sometime in this like gameplay thing just sliding around randomly just to see if the slide tackling is still overpowered, and it wasn't. They toned it down a little bit, which was really nice. They toned it down a little bit just because to make it more like reasonable and to make it more realistic, pretty much, which makes sense because you don't want like an overpowered thing. So they like made that a little bit better. They made the refs a little bit better as well. The refs used to not call anything at all. They used to be like pretty much no bone, no foul, no blood, no foul, anything like that. But they made it so, again, it's just more reasonable. They didn't make it so the refs call everything. They didn't drastically change that. It's just like they're still lenient, things like that, which is really nice. But they still call fouls that are pretty much fouls, and that you could argue for fouls. They can call those. So the fact that they've done that is really good, just because they're changing these small things and making the game better. They're changing these very small details and making it a lot better than the previous game. And again, the core things are still here. The good passing and the good first touches, those are still there. Like that was the one thing I was looking out for, just to see if they had changed that, and they hadn't. That was still really good in the game. And again, they didn't really have to change it. Like, it's not really that big of a difference between PES 16, PES 17 for gameplay. It's not like a huge drastic difference at all. They just made the game just a little bit better. They're changing and adding small details and changing those, so it shows just a better game overall. That's pretty much what it is, and it's really nice to see that they're doing that, because for FIFA, I don't really see that often. I mean, they do add things, but it's either like the same gameplay or it's completely different. There's not like a small improvement every year or anything like that. I haven't really yet to see that, whereas PES has been getting better since PES 14. So that's pretty much it for this review of PES. If you guys just want to talk about it more, just leave it in the comments down below, and I will definitely talk to you guys about that. But FIFA's dead, pretty much. FIFA 16 is pretty much dead. The demo's not out yet, and the PES demo is. So there's no point in not getting it. Just get it and try it out, because I would highly recommend it. It is fantastic to play. It's really fun. It's really smooth as well. And I mean, it is different than FIFA, so that could be why you might not like it, just because it is different. That's it. It's just different. But I would really much recommend it, just because it's a very solid, smooth, fun gameplay experience. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been DMG. Peace.
Oh my god. The weak foot finish!